everyone. Welcome to the We Bought a Franchise podcast. Jill and I are thrilled to have our latest guest on today, Kathryn Allen, who is the owner of a Soccer Stars franchise. Kathryn, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Kathryn, we're trying to follow your lead and be a leading franchisee, right?
Yes, I know. It's so exciting, the venture you've embarked on.
Yeah,
How do you feel about being a franchise owner?
I'll tell you something. It has added so much fun into our life to have another business, to have a brand that we're excited about. I imagine, Kathryn, with you, that's it's a funny story, actually. It's a really funny story, you guys. Let's start like a month ago when we were in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And we run into Miss Kathryn with her family at the Bahamar. And it's like, Kathryn, what are you doing here?
And I was like, Jack, remember you told me to go here? And then we were like, oh yeah, no, you were supposed to be in Hawaii. That was really, really fun. It's wonderful to meet Trey. I've loved seeing him grow up on social media, but just meeting him in real life.
Same with your kids. I remember when we first met, there were no kids around. It's like a lifetime ago. So fun to be full circle.
That's the fun of social media is, being able to kind of stay in touch and see people and see not only their businesses grow, but their families grow. But I was so excited because, of course, Kathryn's a client. She started her franchise about a year ago. And so anytime you see someone in the first year of business ownership, it's like, how's it going? Are you making money? And
fingers crossed.
And
I was standing right. I was standing upright, and I was at a beautiful hotel in the Bahamas. Those are all good signs, right?
Signs.
That things are going well.
Took the pressure off. No,
I was on a vacation in the Bahamas when I live in California.
Right.
Things are good. When I launched spring break camps that week, and I had a team in place that I trusted enough to go to the Bahamas, which is a total time difference, and not to mention, there was no cell service, really very good cell service. So that was actually a big leap for me. For any business owner, right?
Of course.
So so that was a really good feeling to know I had a team that I could trust, that I could take a well-needed vacation.
Yeah.
If that isn't the definition of personal financial freedom, being a business owner, I don't know what is. And you're exactly right. We were in the same boat. It's like we knew, and I was asked this question today. They're like, what do you attribute the early success of your business to? And I said, I've got to give credit to our GM and to our lead tech. And I almost felt like I was like at a, one of those award ceremonies where you're like, I got to give a shout out to.
But they're running your business while you're not there. Right. So it's important to have the right team in place and get to a point where you feel confident that you can lead. So, and that's great. Yeah. You've been doing this for a year and you're at that point. So love to see it.
Kathryn, what does Soccer Stars do? What do you guys do as a franchise?
Yeah, no, great question. So we provide soccer classes in camps, as well as enrichment at preschools and after-school programming. Our age range, we're really focused on the little guys when we're talking about like Parks and Rec and weekend classes, things like that. So ages 1, if you can believe it. No other program really touches the 1-year-olds. And it's our pre-soccer movement class is adorable. It's so cute. Little Mimi and Pepe puppets and songs. And then we go up to 7 years old. So that's for the parks. And then, and then we do enrichment after school programming in elementary schools, as well as preschool enrichment and camps.
I love it. And, it sounds like of course we all get into business because we want to build more wealth, but is it a fun business? Do you feel like, coming out of corporate America, how's it been to sort of switch gears so dramatically?
So I don't think I could go back to corporate America.
Understood.
I think that'd be never say never, right? Never say never.
Sure.
I think that would be really, really hard. As an entrepreneur or a franchise business owner, when you own your business, as you guys know, it never shuts off. there's always things to do. I'm always working 24/7. But it's, for as challenging as things can be, the reward is it still outweighs those challenges. And so it's been amazing. Like I think when I think about what I've really loved with this, I mean, going back, the reason I bought Soccer Stars, when we spoke, Jack, you had me fill out that survey and it looked at different things, asked really great questions to kind of think about what is it I'd want in a business. And the meaningful, finding something I really am passionate about, that I can be proud of, that I can go to my network, to my community, to all the communities in the greater East Bay and say, this is my company and my brand, and really stand behind it. Youth soccer for kids, for toddler, like teaching life skills. Like there's nothing like that's wonderful. That's such a wonderful thing. It teaches great habits and skills. And yes, it's soccer but it's so fun. It is so fun. And what I've really loved is building a team. I think, Jack, we've worked together before, but like I'm really passionate about culture and people. I love people. I love understanding what makes them tick. That probably goes into my sales side of like, when I'm working with these parks and recs and these schools, like I just want to provide a program that really benefits their students, and in every there's just different problems to solve, and like how I love to problem solve. That's so fun. But back to the team. So yeah, just building a team that's really engaged in of coaches. So right now I have about 18 coaches on staff, which I think it's pretty high compared to other franchisees in the system.
Did you say 18, Kathryn?
18.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Part-time employees. But it's just, it does remind me of home care in our previous life, in the sense of like, how do we get all of these part-time employees who are, at different parks and coaching soccer to really like rally around like a core mission and values and build this amazing culture that everyone loves to come to work. So that, because if they love what they do and they love the work that they're doing and what they represent, and they're proud to be part of Soccer Stars, those kids are going to have such a great experience and family. So that's, it starts at the top, right? So anyways.
I love that. I mean, and I think you're doing it right. I think it's better to have more staff because that enables you to grow. I mean, I know we face similar decisions with our company too, in terms of our window washing techs, right? You want to make sure, because it can be, especially now that like here in South Florida, it's getting hotter. The jobs can be hard. You want to make sure that you can cover as you grow. And so I think that's really smart.
Yeah. And the culture is a big deal. You want people to work with you as a customer, but also you want to keep those coaches coming in, so as you expand, you have more and more people that want to work for you. So it's kind of like twofold. You need everyone to be happy. So it's really important to establish that culture.
100%.
Absolutely. And one of my biggest fears with starting this business was, how am I going to find good coaches?
Yeah.
Hiring was not my background. It was marketing.
Right.
And so how am I going to find these good coaches? And my goal was like, as long as I can create an environment in which they're really happy and I pay them well and I recognize them in different ways that they want to be recognized, like my hope was they'll refer their friends. And so right now,
they are, right?
That they are. That's like right now, all my coaches are friends or even siblings, which is so adorable. I love it. It's really cute. It's really fun. And then they have their best friend. I was at a virtual conference the other week, and one of the top things about culture, they said one of the number one things is that you have a best friend at work. And that is what can contribute to a positive culture, which I thought was funny, because literally a number of my coaches have referred their best friend. So they literally have their best friend, but it's like, work wife or like work spouse.
But that's a great reflection on you. You're doing it right if they want their friends to join them. That's so, pat yourself on the back.
I mean, you know what? I think that's a really, really, really good point, because we've found our productivity for our Pinks franchise has shot through the roof ever since we found a great lead tech to sort of work hand in hand with our GM. We've noticed that the culture, the time in and out of
The
jobs,
attitudes, I mean, everything. It does drastically improve when the relationship's there.
Yeah.
So
Find yourself a best friend to work with. I think
love
that's
that.
great. Yeah, that's really cool. That's great advice. And for those of you listening, Kathryn referenced that she and I worked together. We worked together at a home healthcare franchise for many, many years. And, Kathryn was a huge part of our franchise owner's success in terms of marketing. So she knows what it looks like to be a successful franchisee because she helped many of them to get where they were.
That's true.
And Kathryn, so Soccer Stars, I mean, here's what's incredible. Here's this great, like, feel-good business. And by the way, I think soccer is just, it's exploding, right? And down here in South Florida, it's growing like crazy. Like, it's so different than when I was a kid. Like, when I was a kid, football was everything.
And you said they're starting at 1. I mean, I know that we enrolled Trey, I think, at like 2 or 3. He didn't know what he was doing. The biggest disaster. It was adorable. You're right. It's very cute. But the fact that you can get them involved in something that young, I mean, that's great for kids, but it's great for you as a business owner because you have some of these kids for a lifespan of 1 to 7, and then they have the siblings. So, I mean, you're really looking at recurring customers and, family members and everything for a really long period of time.
That's the goal. That is the goal. Yes.
Yeah. And then once they're older, they come back and they're a coach.
Well, what do they call it? Crib to college? That's the term?
They do call it crib to college. Yes.
So, and I'm not going to hold Kathryn to her numbers, but we'll just, again, she's in her first year. But here's the crazy thing, Jill. Soccer Stars shows an average unit volume of $1.3 million for a feel good, have fun, be around kids and sports franchise. I mean, that's what I love so much about franchising is here within this conversation, we have talked about 3 very different types of businesses. The one that Kathryn and I worked in was home care assistance, which was home health care, right? We help seniors stay at home.
Right.
Kathryn is in a youth sports franchise. You and I are in a home services franchise with awesome branding.
Yes, awesome branding. I want to capture that.
Just throwing that in
my like personal branding like that. I mean, Jill, so on brand.
But I mean, it's like I said this yesterday to someone. I said, if you would have told me 20 years ago, hey, Jack, you're going to own a window washing franchise, I'd have been like, oh, man, things maybe aren't going well.
Well, I mean, even the 2 of you working together, like the fact that we're all here doing this, I think is amazing.
Right.
It's amazing and like never what you would predict.
Right.
I mean, I say that to my team. I'm like, if you would have asked me 3 years ago, I mean, plus, right? Would I ever be a franchisee, even though we worked with franchise, I would have been like, no, absolutely not. I think I actually definitively said no, which is why never say never.
Right.
Right? Like,
it's true.
But I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's been amazing. And thankfully I met you, Jack, because if I probably hadn't met you, worked with you, been in the business, and then you went out to, do what you're doing now. And then we reconnected because my best friend Morgan, who also owns a Soccer Stars franchise, right? Like, I mean, just the way the world works. The universe has a plan. That's all.
It really does.
Thanks,
I think both of you guys being on the other side too really kind of shows this value of franchising.
Right.
You guys were on the other side. You had franchisees. You know what it's like to be on the other side. And now, I mean, I guess I'm included too, but you guys are both now franchisees. So that shows that there's really this power in franchising.
Yes.
And that, on both sides, it's great to be on the corporate side and have a company that you franchise, but it's also great to be an owner on the other side too. And you guys are true testaments to that, to see the other side. And even at the time, maybe said that we're never going to do that, but you really come to look at everything and the value in it. And you're both franchisees now.
Well, there's like extra added, it's like today we had our Pinks weekly support call, right? Where we get on and we've got goals we want to hit. And we also have they show us the numbers. They say, here's Palm Beach compared to, another location in Texas. And I got to be honest with you, I knew we had a big week. I was curious, were we number one? Did we finish ahead of all the other locations? And it was so close between us and another location. And here we thought we had this awesome week. And here's this other franchise owner who
just behind.
Yeah, like by like $100.
I mean, we still
took the prize this week, but he's right on our heels.
Right.
And here our guys are today, and this week's going to be an even better week. But this is the thing that I don't think enough people talk about. And Kathryn, maybe you can talk about it too. I think part of what makes being a franchise owner so great and what helps you to succeed is being competitive and wanting to win. Same thing with sports, right? You want to beat the other franchise location. But maybe speak to what you're seeing in terms of, franchisee motivation and coaching at Soccer Stars.
Well, I'm laughing because, yes. Yes. So, I mean, I am a very competitive person, mainly with myself. I think, well, no, that's not true. But, I strive to be the best in everything I do, which, that has added pressures, which got to work on that. But, I'm a high achiever. And so we do have a call at our franchise for they call it the superstars. We're super soccer stars. So the superstars, who are the top performing franchises in the network. I'm a part of that. And on our last call, we do a monthly call. And on our last call, when everyone had hung up, I was talking to the executive leadership, and I'm like, what'd be really great? Because we did this at our old company, is to do a rack and stack where we could see exactly what you're talking about, the numbers. Because as someone who's competitive, now you got to be careful about that, because sometimes that can push people maybe the other way. But
Sure.
if you do it with the top performing group, we're the superstars, right? So we're at the top. So why don't we compete amongst each other? Because we're all, and I was like, I would love to see those numbers, because I know personally that would push me.
Right.
That would push me personally. Now, maybe that's not for everyone, but I mean, if you're at the top, that, you probably are kind of competitive like that. And knowing who's in that group, I would say, yeah, that would probably be a good thing. So that we'll have to see if that gets implemented. But back to
Kathryn, you're right. There's different personality types, and what I liked about, and not to turn this into a Pink's commercial, but they did something in the meeting today that actually speaks to what you're talking about, because some people aren't wired like you are, like we are, where we want to compete, we want to win. And I think it was great because one of the locations that wasn't at the top, there were other things to celebrate. Like they have a lot of recurring revenue already on the books for 2025. They hit their estimate goal. So I think the way that our franchisor was still able to celebrate people, that maybe there's different categories, right? And that's a whole other aspect, is learning that everybody's wired in a different way, and helping to celebrate people at all levels. And definitely, I think that's well,
and I think franchising it's interesting because we're all in different territories, and things are very different in different territories. And that's kind of what we're learning, is like, for Pink specifically, South Florida is very different than Texas. And then as all the new franchisees are coming on, they're going to be in different locations too. So we can't, I don't know, is it apples to apples, apples to oranges, apples to pear apples? I have no idea, but it's good, like you said, to kind of have
apples to plum, Jill. Apples to plum.
I don't know, whatever fruit. We could talk about like tomatoes, because those are fruits too. But
I say tomato.
They have seeds.
But the point is that yes, it can't just always be just sales or performance. There have to be other metrics to look at. But that's important, because maybe you're in a bigger territory than someone else. So estimates make a bigger difference, or, same thing with you, Kathryn, like it could be different. So it's good to kind of celebrate all of those wins. And yes, the competitive people are going to really try, and there might be some that aren't, but it's still good to have that data, because they may need that themselves to justify where they're at in their business. So, the visibility is great, and anything the franchisor can do, I think, is great to kind of motivate and get everyone excited, to do their best.
Yeah. I mean, Kathryn, one of my shifting gears, I have to say this now before I forget, one of my favorite moments on our famous now Bahamas, happenstance meetup is where
we had make it an annual thing. Yeah.
I'm in.
Yes, let's do it. So we had dinner, right? And then the kids were running around. There was if anyone's been to the Bahamas, there's like a big, fountain show.
Yeah.
And Kathryn's like, okay, I got to go out and run payroll. And I think that's just the life of the entrepreneur, right? Here she was having fun on vacation, but you know what? There's still work to do.
Yeah.
And Kathryn, you said something earlier that I think is really important, because this is a point that some people don't understand. You said, look, I'm thinking about my business 24/7. Now, that doesn't mean you're actually grinding and working like you would in an office 24/7, but your mind is still on your business, even when you're doing other things. You know, it's like, it's a different, it's not like oh man, I have to go to Cleveland for a business trip this week from my freaking dumb job. It's, hey, I can't wait to go up and see how the numbers are footing for my business. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's all fun stuff. It's like I woke up yesterday because my brain, I'm sharpest in the morning. That's like when I'm really like in my creative like flow zone. And I was just, not a good habit, but wake up, I was looking at Instagram, right? And I follow some different accounts that are about like social media marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this one and it was about chat GPT prompts. And I was looking at, I'm like, oh, huh, these are good. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do this right now. Kids are still sleeping. So I went through and I did these prompts, but for soccer stars. And I pulled 5 of them that I have ready to go. This was at like 5 a.m., 5 to 5:30. And I have them all sitting in my inbox. So now I can like schedule those out for social media marketing, and they were really great ideas. But it's fun. Like, I mean, and I think another thing is like understanding what you like to do. That's like such a big part of this. Is like when you're a business owner, it's like, okay, what do I like to do? And like what and then what do I not like to do? And then how can you offload that? And so I'm really trying to like get to a place like, I'm still like in the business a lot with all the things, even though I have someone like my kind of GM, as you call it. So kind of pushing that like admin, operational, like all those things, but like really trying to focus mainly on the marketing and the sales, because as Jack and Jill, well, it's like, what? You don't want to be working in the business. You want to be working on the business.
Right.
And on the business is really focused on those revenue generating activities.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm trying to get majority of my time focused on. So slowly I am getting there, but like also want to maintain, like I want to grow like as fast as I can, but I am very obsessed with a high quality product, like high quality programming that people love. So, it's a balancing act, right? And then I guess I'll leave it there.
I saw someone say this the other day on LinkedIn, and I think it's really true. Effective franchise owners focus on leading their team, driving sales, and delivering exceptional customer service, locking in the Google reviews with every single client. But it is continuing to lead and to motivate to make sure you're focused on driving sales. I mean, it's like right now we're in the midst of a record week for Pinks, and I'm thinking about next week, right? I'm thinking about, okay, here's, next week we're a quarter of where we want to be. And so I think it's that thinking ahead, it's that leading. And so, Kathryn, from everything you're saying, you're working on your business. It's just pulling yourself out from the working in the business. And it's hard, right? Because you can feel there can be some guilt there. You feel like you need to be in it, but the sooner you can fully pull yourself out, you will see your sales go next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of Google reviews, that's been a code I've been trying to crack. And since I'd started, right, it's been about a year, I had sent, like maybe 3 emails, like out to my whole list database.
Yeah.
And had a story, I had a cute video with my kids. Like I tried different strategies and I just like, no one was leaving me a review. And I was like, man, like, what the heck?
Right.
Yeah. And then I sent out an email. What's today? Wednesday? When was it? I mean, it was like 3 days ago. Wait, Wednesday. It must have been Monday afternoon. And I offered free soccer balls for the first 10 people that left a review. And I have gotten in the last 3 days, I think I've gotten like 30. No joke.
Wow.
30
Wait, how many?
Google reviews. No joke. 30 Google reviews. If you go to Soccer First Contra Costa, and it's all 5 stars and they're wonderful reviews and they keep coming in. to the point where I didn't realize this, but we use Sochi, and the executive team, like the CMO at Youth Athletes United, like they see these things, I guess. And I actually got an email yesterday and they're like, what are you doing?
It's
We
happening.
love seeing these Google reviews coming. Can you share so we can tell with the whole network? Which is another beauty of franchising, is like share those best practices and wins with each other so we can all grow faster together.
We've got lots of trucker hats.
Yeah, I mean I cracked it with the soccer balls. Like I tried like water bottles, nothing with water bottles, crickets, but soccer balls for their kids, right? Because everyone's like, ooh, my kids, that's who matters here.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I know our franchisor tries a lot of different things. Like sometimes when they test something, at Home Care Assistants, we did this stuff too, but like they'll say, okay, we're going to test putting appointments on your calendar and we're going to offer this up at our cost, right? This thing. And I think that's really cool.
It is.
But Kathryn, great job. And you know, all these things that you're doing, you're doing it right. You know, you're really thinking about proactively thinking about your business, and not everyone does that, but that's what the most successful franchise owners do. So, again, I think it all sounds really great, and you're doing things right. And I love your passion for the business. And is there, for you, talking to people who are watching and listening to this podcast? Obviously, they're interested in franchise ownership. Any like lessons, takeaways from your first year being a franchise owner that you'd want to share?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the first one, obviously, if you are going to buy a franchise, I think I heard this on one of your last podcasts you guys had done, but he spoke to this, which was, one of the beauties of becoming a franchisee and being on the flip side of the coin is, I help hundreds of franchisees grow their businesses over the course of 13 years. And so we saw those rock stars and we saw the ones that didn't do well and the in-betweeners, right? And like, what did this group up here? What was a common thread? Well, follow the system. Follow the formula. Jackie used to say this all the time on Discovery Day, because there's a proven model and system, and they've done the work on the back end that they know what works. So just follow what they're telling you to do. So I think that's number one. So don't try and reinvent the wheel. Like you don't have time to do that. Just do what they tell you to do and you'll do well. I think that, partnering with a great franchisor that you really respect, and that is your true partner. I know this person I'm thinking of on your podcast spoke this too, but it's so true. Like when I met the leadership team at Soccer Stars at Youth Athletes United, I love them. They were great. They're amazing, amazing girls and guys, women, men. So your partner. Like they listen to me, they take my feedback and they action it. And they want it to be better forever. They want the brand. They're always working. They're never resting on their laurels. They're always, trying to like up level our service offering. So, just kind of being with an innovative franchisor that really acts as a partner, I think is very important. And let's see what else. I guess I know probably at time. I think, for me, like I think the biggest challenge has been, finding that work-life balance. So I'm trying to get there still, but
you're getting there.
I'm getting there. Yeah.
You're in the first year. I mean, that's just what it's, that's what it's going to be. And it's hard because again, it's that different thing, right? It goes from, oh my God, I have to go to work for this company and I have to go to freaking Toledo. No offense to Toledo or Cleveland. They're both great places. But when you have to go for a business trip, maybe not so much.
Right.
But when it's yours and it's like one of your kids, right? It's like you're passionate about it. You want to put your life into it. You're building it. But I think being mindful of the work-life balance is important too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the point, Jack. You just said it. It is another child.
Yeah.
Buying a business is another child. So just if you have children and you know what that takes, it's a child. It's a child that you're bringing up. So just think of it that way, and you're going to love it and you're going to nurture it. And sometimes it can be challenging, but at the end of the day, you love it so much that that's okay that, sometimes these things happen and it'll just get better and better.
But also, as everyone tells us, get a babysitter sometimes, you
Get a
know, it's
babysitter
okay
sometime.
to take some time to yourself and not be with the child all the time. But again, to your
Right.
point, you were able to do that, to go to the Bahamas.
Yes.
And it's your first year and it's just going to continue to grow. And so, you know, until we all buy our second business,
Right,
have our
Right.
additional child, you know, it's exactly that. It's, you know, the time and the effort is worth it.
Well, I liked that about Resi Brands too, is that they said for our annual conference, are you bringing kids?
Yeah.
Like that was a choice.
Oh.
Like, and it's at this place with like water slides and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I think that it's little things like that are important, because so many of us, Kathryn, you've got 2 little ones. We've got a little, you know, he's not little,
He's
but
tall,
he's little.
but he's still little. But he's tall. He's a tall little.
He's young, but he's big. He's
Right.
tall. Yeah.
But so again, I think to Kathryn's point, it's that's what when we do a franchise search, we want to find all those things: culture, support, brand fit. And I think that's where, when Jill and I work with clients like you, we really want to help you nail that. And so it's,
And you honestly know when you know. I mean, it's like
you do.
Well, I mean, I'll never forget. We hung up the phone, Jack. I did the assessment, and we hung up the phone, and immediately you texted me, and you go, "I think you like this company called Soccer Stars," and I was like, "That's hysterical," because I had done it with Jackson, my son, who was 2.5 at the time, because corporate was in this area, and I was like, "Huh, I like it," because I played soccer. I'm a mom of kids in that age group. All the things like aligned, like there before I even met the team. And when I met the team, I'm like, wait a sec, like these guys are awesome, you know, and they've done the work, like coming from the franchisee side again, or franchisor side. We knew, you know, just like you, Jack, like we knew what to look for, right? Because we knew like, okay, like what, you know, what's in place, what systems are there, what's the brand, blah, 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 blah. And so I was just really impressed by what they put together.
And they were impressed with you. And that's the other thing too, is that it has to be a mutual fit. And I think that's something else. And I know we're coming up against time here, but it has to be a mutual fit. And that's something else. A lot of people out there are like, they think maybe franchises are like, you know, car salesmen, not to give car salesman a bad name, but the perception of car salesmen. And what happens on the back end when Jill and I work with a franchisor is, what we do is essentially we play point guard. We show you franchises, we introduce you to them. Then you guys begin your conversation and your due diligence on both of your sides, but both sides are talking to us saying, here's what we think, here's what we like, here's what we don't like. And so when we get any red flags on either side, then we know it's not a right fit. But in this case, it was
green flags all the way.
All green flags. Yeah.
Is that a thing? Green flag?
Sure. I think there's a green flag. Green lights. I think it's green light.
Red flags, green lights.
Yeah, okay. I think it's green light. But Kathryn, you've got a green light to go work on your business. We know you're busy, and we appreciate you spending some time with us today. I think that all this, you know, all this content that we've shared today is so helpful to potential franchise investors, and it's been great to hear your story.
Thank you so much for having me on today. It's truly such an honor to be here. And I'm just really touched that you asked me on your podcast. You're doing an amazing job, Jack and Jill. And just now that you're franchise owners and just everything you're doing, it's just, you guys are rock stars. And it's so fun to continue to work together, Jack and Jill, in this capacity, you know, over all these years in a different capacity. So
yeah.
What were we going to say? Cheers.
I was going to say cheers to all of us, just adding more businesses over the years and more freedom and more wealth and all that great stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say the same thing.
That's how you know you've been working together a long time.
We really have.
Dynamic duo right here. Dynamic duo. Boop, boop.
Okay, so Kathryn, now it's time for our ending, where we talk about, where we have our famous sign-off line, which is, I'm Jack.
And I'm Jill. And you're?
Kathryn.
And we all bought a franchise.
Oh. We did.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode.
We bought a franchise. We did our research, looked at all the options, and we found Pink's Windows down in Austin. Now we got a truck and a team, and we're gonna